This is another podcast from Alpha Business Media. For years, Nepal has, captivated the world. Majestic peaks, ancient traditions. It's the image we all know. But for those of you tracking global innovation, there's a new story unfolding there, a dynamic one. It's a tech revolution, really, led by a younger generation. They're not just watching change, they're actively building it.
Yeah, and it's not just a few scattered efforts either. This is a real trend, a powerful one. You can actually quantify it. Think about this. Back in 2015, Nepal had, maybe 300 registered startups, give or take?
Right, not many.
Exactly. But by 2023, over 1,500. That's explosive growth. And it wasn't just happening under the radar. The government noticed, which led to a really historic step in 2024.
The startup support policy.
That's the one. For the very first time, startup business got a legal definition. And that unlocked access to a pretty significant soft loan program.
About 1 billion Nepali rupees, right? Around $7.5 million.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big deal. It shows a shift from just talk to, actual concrete action, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely it is. But I mean, this amazing growth, it's not happening in some kind of perfect bubble. These innovators are up against some pretty stark realities. Nepal's global startup ranking, it's 107th. That tells you something about the challenges.
Structural issues, intense competition.
Exactly. And then there's the brain drain. It's massive. In 2022, something like 1,700 young Nepalese were leaving daily for work abroad.
Wow, daily.
Yeah.
That's stripping the economy of its most valuable resource, isn't it? Talent.
It really is. And you add on the bureaucracy, political instability. Nepal's 94th in ease of doing business, plus a private equity market that's, still finding its feet.
So what's truly remarkable, I think, is that it's right here, at this intersection of huge opportunity and, frankly, colossal difficulty. That's where the real heroes are emerging.
Yeah.
These startup founders, they aren't just building companies. They're tackling fundamental problems in society, education, healthcare, the environment.
And that's exactly what we want to explore in this deep dive. Their stories. It's not just about the tech or the investment figures. It's about their sheer will, their resilience, and honestly, their faith in Nepal's future. How they turn these massive challenges into opportunities.
Rewriting the narrative.
Precisely. So let's start with a sector that's really changing access, EdTech. Okay, let's unpack this. Nepal's education system, it's faced some big hurdles for a long time.
Geographical remoteness, for one.
Yeah.
Teacher shortages. The cost of quality learning.
Right. But here's the interesting twist. Those very gaps, they actually created fertile ground for a digital revolution.
Necessity being the mother of invention, classic case.
Totally. With internet and mobile use growing so fast across the country, EdTech startups suddenly had this unique chance. Make knowledge accessible, interactive, and, importantly, affordable.
It really is striking how that void became, an opportunity space.
It is. And a perfect example of this is Guruba. It's the story of Krishna Prasad Bandari, a really charismatic teacher who became, a digital phenomenon back in 2019. Tell us a bit more about him.
Sure. So Krishna Prasad Bandari, he started simply, just putting free, high-quality video lessons up on YouTube. Now, in Nepal, getting good tutors can be difficult and expensive, so his channel just took off.
Students loved it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of students preparing for crucial exams started relying on it. He built this incredible trust. Now, Gurubai has nearly 1 million subscribers. It offers over 60 courses, academic stuff, sure, but also language tests, even hospitality training.
Wow, that's quite the expansion.
It is. And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how Gurubai is laying the groundwork for Nepal's future knowledge economy. For the country to move beyond relying so heavily on remittances and agriculture, it needs skilled people, especially in tech.
Right.
EdTech platforms like Guruba, they raise the overall academic level. They create a bigger pool of educated potential innovators.
Yeah.
That's crucial for long-term change.
That's such a vital point. And Krishna Prasad Bandari, he represents a new kind of entrepreneur, doesn't he?
In a way, yes.
His success isn't just about business savvy or, some breakthrough tech. It's rooted in his identity as an educator. The digital tools just amplified it.
He leveraged that core identity, that trust.
Exactly. He converted social capital respect into a scalable digital business. It kind of shows other professionals, maybe doctors or engineers, that they can potentially do the same.
It's about using that community trust and building something new with it, a powerful model.
And Nepal's EdTech scene isn't just Guruba. There's Programists, for instance. This is pretty amazing. They've built one of the world's top websites for beginner programmers, over 1 million users a month globally. Python, C++, C, RAR tutorials.
That really shows a Nepalese company can compete internationally, doesn't it? Build world-class tech products.
Absolutely. It shatters some perceptions.
And the sector's broader than that, too. You've got Teacher's Ambition, which is mobile-based exam prep, really tailored to the Nepalese curriculum. And Nima Academy, they've been working since 2018 on making standardized education more accessible and affordable digitally.
So how do they all make money? It seems like a mix.
It is quite diverse. You've got the free ad-supported model, like Uruba started with on YouTube, then paid subscriptions, selling individual courses, and B2B solutions, too, integrating their platforms with schools or colleges.
And they're not doing this alone, right? There's support infrastructure.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial. Incubators and accelerators like Idea Studio Nepal, the National Innovation Center, King's Incubator, they provide mentorship, resources, help finding co-founders. They're really nurturing these ideas, helping them grow into sustainable businesses that can actually make a difference.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Health tech. Before 2020, this sector in Nepal, it was growing, but maybe kind of slowly.
Relatively slowly, yeah.
Then bam, COVID-19 hits. And it forced this massive, desperate pivot. Not just for the healthcare system, but for everyone, for patients.
Right. That crisis became this powerful, if completely unexpected, catalyst for innovation in health tech.
Because all those pre-existing problems, the huge gap between urban and rural healthcare quality, the shortage of specialists, travel costs.
They were suddenly magnified, weren't they? Made extreme.
Exactly, which created this huge, urgent demand for contactless care. Telemedicine, online pharmacies, they weren't luxuries anymore.
The pandemic didn't just expose the cracks, it blew them wide open and created an immediate need that health tech was, frankly, perfectly positioned to fill.
And leading the charge, or at least one of the key players with global ambitions, is Wyzak. Who's behind this one? Their approach sounds quite different.
Wyzak is really interesting. It's driven by its founder, Dr. Suresh Manandar. He's got, get this, 35 years of international experience in AI and machine learning.
Wow.
Yeah, he headed AI research at the University of York in the UK, among other things. He came back to Nepal specifically with this mission, build a world-class tech company. And Wyzak isn't just another health app, it's serious tech. They use AI and machine learning for clinical decision support.
So for doctors, hospitals.
Exactly. Hospitals, doctors, pharma companies, research groups. It helps with diagnostics, managing patient data, remote consultations. The goal is making healthcare more accessible, transparent, efficient.
That sounds complex and expensive to build.
Very. Which is why they secured significant funding, about $250,000 from Team Ventures. That's one of Nepal's top private equity funds.
Smart money, as they say.
Definitely. The investment was specifically for hiring talent and refining the platform for a global launch. They're thinking big.
Clearly. Now, if Wyzak is deep tech, then GV. That sounds like a masterclass in timing and understanding users.
Oh, absolutely. Ahushan Jyoti Kansagar launched GV in July 2019, just months before the pandemic really hit.
Talk about first mover advantage in e-pharmacy.
Huge advantage. When the country went into lockdown, GV wasn't just convenient, it became essential, a lifeline for many.
And they pivoted fast.
Super fast.
Yeah.
They quickly launched Namaste Doctor online consultations. In just the first few days of lockdown, they served over 20,000 families through that.
Incredible responsiveness.
It really was. And that agility allowed them not just to survive the chaos, but to really thrive. Today, GV's moved beyond just being an online pharmacy. It's a full e-commerce platform for health, beauty, personal care. They claim to be Nepal's biggest health tech startup now.
Okay, so let's zoom out again. What gives Nepal's health tech this specific strength? Why is it attracting serious investors like Team Ventures or Business Oxygen, even with the country's overall ranking?
I think a critical factor here, and it's quite unique, is how the sector is plugged into the global tech chain.
How so?
Well, for more than a decade, major U.S. medtech companies think Cotiviti, Leapfrog Technology, they set up big engineering centers in Kathmandu.
Right, for outsourcing, cost savings.
Initially, yes. But it had this powerful, maybe unintended side effect. It created a critical mass of highly skilled engineers right there in Nepal. Engineers with deep expertise in handling medical data, cloud systems, cybersecurity, all crucial for health tech.
So the founders of these new startups often came from those outsourcing firms.
Many of them are veterans, exactly. They bring global standards, they understand market needs, they know the strict security required. So that outsourcing industry basically acted as a huge de facto incubator. It created this unique outsourcing to innovation pipeline.
That's a fascinating link. It really helps explain why investors are interested, but it also brings up a tricky question, doesn't it?
Which is,
Well, these startups, they're not just selling nice-to-have services, they're actively filling gaps left wide open by the state healthcare system.
yeah.
The government has its Digital Nepal 2019 plan, sure, but public projects can be slow. Meanwhile, private companies like GV are already delivering these essential services.
It definitely raises a big question for policymakers and for society, really. How do you integrate these successful private platforms? How do you leverage their innovation to benefit everyone, ensure equal access, and avoid creating, a two-tiered system where only some can afford the best digital care?
Right. Their success is both a win for innovation and a mirror reflecting gaps in public infrastructure. It's a complex balance.
It really is.
Okay, let's shift focus one more time. Green technologies. Nepal faces some serious environmental challenges, especially in its cities. Kathmandu Valley alone generates something like 1,200 tons of solid waste every single day. A lot of it just ends up in landfills, unsorted.
A huge problem. And in response, we're seeing this new wave of ecopreneurship emerge, people turning that challenge into a business opportunity. Even the government has recognized it, putting goals for a green, sustainable, and inclusive entrepreneurial culture into its strategy.
It's a direct response to an urgent need, absolutely. And leading this charge, you could say, is Khaleesi. Tell us about the founder, Ayushi Casey. Her story is quite something.
It really is. Ayushi Casey actually left a secure, prestigious job at USAI. Why? To tackle trash.
That takes guts.
It does. She was motivated to change Kathmandu's inefficient and often degrading waste collection system. Now, Khaleesi isn't your typical waste company. It's a digital platform. Think of it as a bridge.
Connecting who?
Connecting waste sellers. So, households, offices, with the informal recyclables collectors. And the platform calls them, respectfully, Khaleesi Friends. People use a mobile app to schedule pickups for their sorted recyclables. They get a fair price, and they can even track their environmental impact.
That sounds really smart. What's the impact been like?
It works on 3 levels, which is what makes it so powerful. Economically, it helps the collectors work more efficiently, boosting their monthly income by about 32% on average.
Wow.
Socially, it restores dignity. The Khaleesi Friends get branded clothing, ID cards, they're called by their first names. It gives them access and respect they didn't have before. And ecologically, of course, it diverts thousands of tons of plastic, paper, metal, glass away from landfills each year.
That's a truly holistic model.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then there's Leaf Plus, another interesting origin story there.
Yeah, this one apparently started out of pure frustration. 3 engineer friends, Probit Singh Bhadia, Bidhan Pokral, Swaviman Acharya. They were eating street food served on a traditional leaf plate, you know the kind. And it just leaked everywhere.
I could picture that.
That everyday annoyance sparked an idea. Could they make a better version? Modern, convenient, but still eco-friendly.
And they did.
They did. Leaf Plus makes disposable tableware that's 100% natural, biodegradable, and key point microwave safe. The raw material. Fallen Areca's palm leaves. They're abundant in Nepal, and were mostly just considered waste before.
So they're directly taking on cheap plastic plates.
Exactly. Those plates cause massive environmental damage. Leaf Plus offers a sustainable alternative.
They started in 2017, and now they're making 8,000 to 10,000 pieces a day. That's solid production.
It is. But it hasn't been easy. The founders are very open about the challenges, especially getting consumers to pay more.
Right, the price difference. A Leaf Plus plate is, what, 8 to 25 rupees versus just 1 rupee for plastic.
Yeah, convincing people to pay maybe 10 times more for a leaf plate. That's a tough sell anywhere. It really highlights the grit these green startups need.
Definitely. But it's not just the product, is it? There's a social angle, too.
Yes, their business model involves women and farmers in rural areas in the production chain. It gives them extra income, which is really important.
So, looking at Khaleesi's and Lift Plus, what stands out about Nepal's successful green startups?
What's really fascinating, I think, is how they uniquely fuse tradition and technology. They're not just copying global models.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, Khaleesi took the existing informal system of waste collectors and digitized it, making it more efficient and dignified. They didn't try to replace it entirely. And Leaf Plus modernized an ancient practice using leaf plates, but with a different, more durable material and modern manufacturing.
I see. Leveraging local context, existing social structures.
Exactly. It feels like a very authentic, very Nepalese innovation model. Power.
That fusion is definitely a key differentiator. But what about funding? You mentioned the struggle. These green startups, Leaf Plus, Khaleesi, also Dodoko recyclers doing e-waste, Ecorb Ventures making paper from elephant dung. they find it hard to get classic VC money.
That's right. If you look at Nepal's private capital market, the investors are mostly chasing high, fast returns. IT, energy, healthcare. Those are the hot sectors.
And green projects don't fit that mold.
Not really. They often have slower growth cycles. They might need to change consumer behavior, which takes time. And they have that dual mission, financial and social or environmental. That just doesn't fit the narrow focus of traditional venture capital. Their struggles really show a lack of depth, maybe diversity, in the investment ecosystem there.
So what's needed then for these crucial green ventures to really scale up and thrive?
Well, fundamentally, it points to the need for a new class of investors in Nepal. Impact investors.
People who value the triple bottom line.
It's exactly. Financial, social, and environmental returns. People willing to look beyond just the quickest profit. For now, though, specialized grants and support from international organizations, like WWF's Green Innovation Startup Challenge, are absolutely vital. They're basically a lifeline.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listener? The stories we've heard, Krishna Prasad Bandari, Dr. Manantar, Apushan Jyoti Kansakar, Ayushi Casey, the Leaf Plus team, they aren't just isolated company profiles. Together, they're weaving the fabric of a new Nepal. More tech-savvy, more resilient, more self-sufficient. They are, in a very real sense, the architects of the country's future. They embody that ambitious Startup Nation 2030 vision.
Yeah, you could almost think of Nepal's startup ecosystem right now like a balance sheet.
Okay, interesting analogy. Assets and liabilities.
Exactly. Yeah. On the asset side, the growth drivers are strong. You've got incredible human capital, this generation of passionate, educated, globally minded founders solving real problems. Government support is definitely growing. Policies, loan programs, the support infrastructure, incubators, accelerators, it's expanding. And the private equity and VC market is maturing, with funds capable of bringing in that smart money. Those are real assets.
But like any balance sheet, there's the other side, liabilities, issues that still need work.
Right. There's still a big funding gap, especially at the very early seed stage. Beyond the government loans and a few bigger funds, it's tough.
Bureaucracy, regulations, still hurdles.
Still major obstacles, despite some progress. And then the big one, that brain drain. The continued exodus of talent is probably the single biggest long-term threat to building an innovative economy. And finally, that lack of diversified capital we just talked about. Not enough impact investors supporting those vital social and green startups with longer timelines. That holds back entire sectors critical for a sustainable future.
So a lot of progress, but significant challenges remain.
Precisely. Nepal's journey to becoming a thriving startup nation is really just beginning. The huge question for the future, I think, is whether the supporting infrastructure, both public and private, can actually grow fast enough to keep pace with the ambition, the ingenuity, and the sheer grit of its young entrepreneurs.